Kuge, Flowers in Space, by Eihei Dogen, from Shobogenzo, the treasury of the true Dharma Eye. The founding patriarch says, "A flower is 5 petals opening. Effects naturally are realized." We should learn in practice this moment of a flower opening and its brightness, color, and form. The composition of a flower is 5 petals, and the opening of 5 petals is a flower. Penetration of the truth of a flower is, I originally came to this land to transmit the Dharma and to save deluded emotional beings. The state that is visited by brightness and by color may be present in this learning in practice. I entrust effects to effects themselves. This expresses natural realization. Natural realization means enacting causes and accepting effects. The world has causes, and the world has effects. We enact the cause and effect that is this world, and we accept the cause and effect that is this world. The natural self is itself, and the self is inevitably just you. In other words, the 4 elements and 5 aggregates. Because we are utilizing a true human being without rank, the state is not I and not anyone else, and so we call what is indefinite the self. The state of being natural means agreement. Natural realization is the very moment of opening flowers and bearing fruit, and the very moment of transmitting the Dharma and saving the deluded. For example, the time and place that blue lotus flowers open and spread are in the midst of fire and in the time of fire. And all sparks and flames exist at the place and at the time that blue lotus flowers open and spread. Beyond the time and the place of blue lotus flowers, not a single spark is born, and not a single spark has vivid life. Remember, in a single spark, there are hundreds and thousands of clusters of blue lotus flowers, and they open and spread in space. They open and spread on the ground. They open and spread in the past, and they open and spread in the present. To experience the actual time and the actual place of fire is to experience blue lotus flowers. We should not pass by the time and the place of blue lotus flowers, but should experience them. An ancestor says, "Blue lotus flowers open inside fire." So, blue lotus flowers inevitably open and spread inside fire. If we want to know the inside of fire, it is the place where blue lotus flowers open and spread. We should not, out of attachment to human views and views of gods, neglect to research the inside of fire. If we are to doubt, we might doubt that lotus flowers have grown in water or we might doubt that other flowers are present on branches and twigs. Again, if we are to doubt, we might doubt that the objective world is stably established, but this we do not doubt. None other than Buddhist patriarchs knows that the opening of flowers is the occurrence of the world. Flowers opening are 3 and 3 before, and 3 and 3 after. In order to make up these numbers, they have accumulated material particles and exalted them. Letting this truth come to us, we should consider spring and autumn. Not only in spring and in autumn do flowers and fruit exist. Existence time always has flowers and fruit. Every flower and fruit has maintained and relied upon a moment of time, and every moment of time has maintained and relied upon flowers and fruit. For this reason, all miscellaneous things have flowers and fruit. Trees all have flowers and fruit. Trees of gold, silver, copper, iron, coral, crystal, and so forth, all have flowers and fruit. And trees of earth, wind, fire, water, and space, all have flowers and fruit. Flowers are present in human trees. Flowers are present in human flowers, and flowers are present in withered trees. In such circumstances, there are the flowers in space, of which the world-honoured one speaks. Yet people of small knowledge and small experience do not know of the colours, brightness, petals, and flowers, of flowers in space, and they can scarcely even hear the words, flowers in space. Remember, in Buddhism there is talk of flowers in space. In non-Buddhism they do not even know, much less understand, talk of flowers in space. Only the Buddhas and the patriarchs know the blooming and falling of flowers in space and flowers on the ground. Only they know the blooming and falling of flowers in the world, and so on. Only they know that flowers in space, flowers on the ground, flowers in the world, and so on, are sutras. This is the standard for learning the state of Buddha. Because flowers in space are the vehicle upon which Buddhist patriarchs ride, the Buddhist world and all the Buddha's teachings are just flowers in space. Nevertheless, when the common and the stupid hear the Tathagata's words, that what is seen by clouded eyes is flowers in space, they imagine that clouded eyes means the upset eyes of ordinary beings. They imagine that sick eyes, because they are upset, perceive flowers in space in a pure void. Because stupid people attach to this theory, they have concluded that the triple world, the 6 states, the existence of the Buddha nature, and the non-existence of the Buddha nature all do not exist, but are deludedly seen to exist. They excitedly consider that if we could stop this deluded cloudedness of the eyes, we would not see this floweriness in space, and this is why we say that space is originally without flowers. It is pitiful that people like this do not know the time of, or the beginning and end of, the flowers in space of which the Tathagata speaks. The truth that Buddhas speak of clouded eyes and flowers in space is never seen by the common man and non-Buddhists. By practicing this flower of space, the Buddha Tathagatas receive the robes, the seat of preaching and the master's room, and they attain the truth and get the effect. Picking up a flower and winking an eye are all the universe which is realized by clouded eyes and flowers in space. The right Dharma eye treasury and the fine mind of Nirvana, which have been authentically transmitted to the present without interruption, are called clouded eyes and flowers in space. Bodhi, Nirvana, the Dharma body, selfhood, and so on, are 2 or 3 petals of 5 petals opened by a flower in space. Shakyamuni Buddha says, "It is like a person who has clouded eyes, seeing flowers in space. If the sickness of clouded eyes is cured, flowers vanish in space." No scholars have clearly understood this statement. Because they do not know space, they do not know flowers in space. Because they do not know flowers in space, they do not know a person who has clouded eyes, do not see a person who has clouded eyes, do not meet a person who has clouded eyes, and do not become a person who has clouded eyes. Through meeting a person who has clouded eyes, we should know flowers in space, and should see flowers in space. When we have seen flowers in space, we can also see flowers vanish in space. The idea that once flowers in space vanish, they can never reappear, is the view and opinion of the small vehicle. At a time when flowers in space could not be seen, what could exist? Only knowing that flowers in space can become an object to get rid of, scholars do not know the great matter that follows from flowers in space, and do not know the seeding, maturation, and falling free of flowers in space. Among scholars today, who are common men, most think that the place where yang energy resides may be space, or that the place where the sun, moon, and stars are suspended may be space. And so, for example, they believe that flowers in space might describe the appearance of colourful forms, which are like floating clouds in clear sky, and like flying blossoms being blown east and west, and up and down by the wind. They do not know that the four elements as creator and creation, together with the real dharmas of the objective world on the one hand, and original realization, original nature, and so forth on the other hand, are all called flowers in space. Furthermore, they do not know that the four elements and so on, which are the agents of creation, exist because of real dharmas. And they do not know that the objective world abides in its place in the universe because of real dharmas. They see only that real dharmas exist because of the objective world. They understand only that flowers in space exist because of cloudedness in the eyes. They do not understand the truth that cloudedness in the eyes is caused to exist by virtue of flowers in space. Remember, in Buddhism, a person of clouded eyes is a person of original realization, a person of subtle realization, a person of the Buddhas, a person of the triple world, and a person in the ascendant state of Buddha. Do not stupidly see cloudedness as delusion, and learn that true reality exists elsewhere. To do so would be the small view. If cloudedness and flowers were delusion, that which attaches to the wrong view that they are delusion, and the attachment itself, must all be delusion. If both subject and object were delusion, there would be no possibility of establishing any truth. There being no truth to establish, to assert that cloudedness and flowers are delusion would be impossible. When realization is clouded, each of the many dharmas in realization is a dharma adorned with cloudedness. When delusion is clouded, each of the many dharmas in delusion is a dharma adorned with cloudedness. For the present, we can say that when clouded eyes are balanced, flowers in space are balanced. When clouded eyes are non-arising, flowers in space are non-arising. And when all dharmas are real form, clouded flowers are real form. We should neither discuss this as past, present, or future, nor relate to it being beginning, middle, and end, because it is not hindered by arising and passing. It can cause arising and passing to arise and pass, arising in space and passing in space, arising in clouded eyes and passing in clouded eyes, arising in flowers and passing in flowers, and so on for all other times and places. Learning of flowers in space may take many forms. There is what is seen by clouded eyes, what is seen by clear eyes, what is seen by the Buddha's eyes, what is seen by the Patriarch's eyes, what is seen by the eyes of the truth, what is seen by blind eyes, what is seen by 3,000 years, what is seen by 100 years, what is seen by hundreds of kalpas, and what is seen by countless kalpas. All these see flowers in space, but space itself is multifarious, and flowers also are diverse. Remember that space is a thing. This space unfailingly yields flowers, as all the 100 things yield flowers. To express this truth, the Tathagata says, space is originally without flowers. Although there are originally no flowers, now there are flowers, a fact which is true for peach and plum trees, and true for apricot and willow trees. The Tathagata's expression is like saying, the apricot yesterday was without flowers, but the apricot in spring has flowers. Still, when the season arrives and just then flowers bloom, this may be the flowers' time, or it may be the flowers arriving. The exact moment of flowers arriving is never a random event. Apricot and willow flowers inevitably bloom on apricot and willow trees. Looking at apricot and willow flowers, we can identify apricot and willow trees, and looking at apricot and willow trees, we can distinguish apricot and willow flowers. Peach and plum flowers never bloom on apricot or willow trees. Apricot and willow flowers bloom on apricot and willow trees. And peach and plum flowers bloom on peach and plum trees. Flowers in space, blooming in space, are also like this. They never bloom on other things, and never bloom on other trees. Looking at the various colours of space flowers, one imagines the limitlessness of space fruits. Watching flowers in space open and fall, we should learn of the spring and autumn of flowers in space. Spring for flowers in space and spring for other flowers may be alike. As flowers in space are miscellaneous, so must spring seasons be of many kinds. Thus do springs and autumns of the past and present exist. People who understand that flowers in space are not real, but other flowers are real, are people who have not seen or heard the Buddha's teaching. To understand, on hearing the preaching, that space is originally without flowers, that there now exist flowers in space, which originally did not exist, is the near-sighted and small view. We should step ahead and take the broad view. An ancestral master says, flowers have never appeared. The realization of this principle is, for example, the truth that flowers have never appeared, that flowers have never disappeared, that flowers have never been flowers, and that space has never been space. We should not engage in idle discussion of existence and non-existence, confusing the before and after of flower time. Flowers always seem to be imbued with all colours, but colours are not always limited to flowers. Other seasons also have blues, yellows, reds, whites, and other colours. Spring brings in flowers, and flowers bring in spring. The Mandarin Chosetsu is a lay disciple of Sakiso. The poem he makes on realizing the truth is as follows. Brightness is serenely illuminating the whole sands of the Ganges world. This brightness has clearly realized the monks' hall, the Buddha hall, the kitchen hall, and the temple gate. The whole sands of the Ganges world is realized by brightness, and is brightness realized. All souls, common and sacred, are my family. It is not that there are no common men and saints, but do not insult common men and saints by this discrimination. When not one image appears, the total body manifests itself. Image and image are one by one. This state is inevitably not appearance, and it is the total manifestation of the total body. For this reason, he says that one image is not appearance. If the 6 sense organs are slightly moved, the mind is covered with clouds. Although the 6 sense organs are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and sense center, they are not always 2 times 3. They may be 3 and 3, before and after. Moving is as Mount Sumeru, as the earth, as the 6 sense organs, and as slight moving itself. Because moving is as Mount Sumeru, not moving is also as Mount Sumeru. For example, it forms clouds and produces water. By eliminating disturbances, we redouble the disease. We have not been free of disease hitherto. We have had the Buddha bug and the patriarch bug. Intellectual excluding now adds to the disease and augments the disease. The very moment itself of eliminating is inevitably disturbance. They are simultaneous and beyond simultaneousness. Disturbances always include the fact of trying to eliminate them. To approach the truth intentionally is also wrong. To turn one's back on the truth is wrong, and to approach the truth is also wrong. The truth is the approaching and the turning away, which in each instance of approaching or turning away are the truth itself. Is there anyone who knows that this wrong is also the truth? In following worldly circumstances, there are no hindrances. Worldly circumstance and worldly circumstance follow each other, and following is worldly circumstances. This state is called without hindrances. We should learn the state beyond hindrance and no hindrance as that which is obstructed by the eyes. Nirvana and living and dying are just flowers in space. Nirvana means the state of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the abode of Buddhist patriarchs, and the disciples of Buddhist patriarchs is just this state. Living and dying is the real human body. This nirvana and living and dying are this reality, and at the same time they are just flowers in space. The roots and stalks, twigs and leaves, flowers and fruit, and brightness and colours of flowers in space are each the blooming of flowers in space. Space flowers inevitably bear space fruit and drop space seeds. Because the triple world which we are experiencing now is the 5 petals opening of flowers in space, it is best to see the triple world as the triple world. The triple world is this real form of all dharmas. It is this flower form of all dharmas. And all dharmas, from these to others beyond imagination, are flowers in space and fruit in space. We should learn by experience that they are identical to those in apricot, willow, peach, and plum trees. Zen Master Reikun of Faiyuzan Mountain in the Fuchu district of the great kingdom of Sung, when first entering the order of Zen Master Shishin of Kisoji Temple, asks, "What is Buddha?" Kisu says, "If I tell you, will you believe me or not?" Master Reikun says, "How could I not believe the Master's honest words?" Kisu says, "You yourself are just it." Master Reikun says, "How should I maintain it?" Kisu says, "When an instance of cloudedness is there in the eyes, flowers in space tumble down." The words that Kisu now speaks, "When an instance of cloudedness is there in the eyes, flowers in space tumble down," express maintenance of Buddha. So remember, the tumbling down of clouded flowers is what Buddhas realize, and the flowers and fruit are what the Buddhas maintain. With cloudedness they make eyes real. Flowers in space are realized in eyes, and eyes are realized in flowers in space. It may be that when flowers in space are there in the eyes, a single instance of cloudedness tumbles down. And when an eye is there in space, all instances of cloudedness tumble down. This being so, cloudedness is the manifestation of all functions. Eyes are the manifestation of all functions. Space is the manifestation of all functions, and flowers are the manifestation of all functions. Tumbling down is the thousand eyes, and is the thoroughly realized body as an eye. In sum, at the time and place an eye exists, there are inevitably flowers in space and flowers in eyes. We call flowers in eyes flowers in space, and an expression of eyes and flowers is always open and clear. For this reason, Great Master Kosho of Roya-san Mountain says, "How wondrous are the Buddhas in the 10 directions. They are originally just the flowers in our eyes. And if we want to know the flowers in our eyes, they are originally just the Buddhas in the 10 directions. If we want to know Buddhas in 10 directions, they are other than the flowers in our eyes. If we want to know the flowers in our eyes, they are other than the Buddhas in the 10 directions. And when we understand this situation clearly, the fault is with Buddhas in 10 directions. Not understanding this situation clearly, voice hearers might dance, and the independently awakened might put on makeup. Remember, the Buddhas in the 10 directions are not unreal. They are originally just the flowers in our eyes. The place where the Buddhas of the 10 directions abide is in the eyes, and anywhere other than in the eyes is not the abode of the Buddhas. The flowers in our eyes are neither non-existence nor existence. They are neither immaterial nor real. They are naturally just the Buddhas in the 10 directions. Now, if we want to know only the Buddhas of the 10 directions one-sidedly, they are other than the flowers in our eyes. And if we want to know only flowers in eyes one-sidedly, they seem to be other than the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Both clear understanding and unclear understanding, because they are like this, are flowers in the eyes and Buddhas of the 10 directions. Wanting to know and it not being so are the very realization of wondrousness. They are the great wonders. The fundamental meaning of the flowers in space and the flowers on the ground, of which the Buddhas and the patriarchs speak, it's such giving of free play to the elegant ways. Even teachers of sutras and teachers of commentaries are able to hear the name of flowers in space, but none other than a Buddhist patriarch has the means or the circumstances to experience the lifeblood of flowers on the ground. One who has apprehended the lifeblood of flowers on the ground speaks the state of a Buddhist patriarch. Zen Master Etetsu of Sekimonzan Mountain in the great kingdom of Sung is a venerable patriarch in the order on Ryozan Mountain. In the story, a monk asks him, "What is the jewel in the mountain?" The point of this question is, for example, the same as in asking, "What is Buddha?" It is like asking, "What is the truth?" The Master says, flowers in space unfold on the ground. Even if we buy throughout the country, there is no gate. This expression should never be compared with other expressions. Ordinary teachers in many districts, when discussing flowers in space as flowers of emptiness, speak only of arising in emptiness and passing in emptiness. None has understood reliance on space. How much less could any understand reliance on the ground? Only Sekimon has understood. The meaning of relying on the ground is that beginning, middle, and end are ultimately relying on the ground. To unfold is to open. Just at this moment, there is unfolding from the whole earth, and there is opening from the whole earth. Even if we buy throughout the country, there is no gate. It is not that there is no buying throughout the country. It is buying the gateless. Flowers in space exist on the basis of unfolding from the ground, and the whole ground exists on the basis of the opening of flowers. So remember, there is a principle that flowers in space cause both the ground and space to unfold. Preach to the assembly at Kannon-dori Kosho Horinji Temple on the 10th day of the 3rd lunar month in the 1st year of Kangen.